Hey guys, it's Ellen, and it's Friday, so it's Floral Friday. And today we're talking about my #1 tool that I use to make beautiful, super easy, loose watercolor flowers in this video, and how I achieve this, what I do to create this, a couple other, 2 or 3 other big tips too as well. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Also, please don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorials up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Yes. Also, check out my Patreon. I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials on the top. Exclusive tutorials and a live stream on the top tier. It's just a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate so much. Lots of extra content up there. So you can check it out right up here in a second. Boop. So without further ado, let's get painting. Now I've gone ahead and taped down I took off the piece of paper off that pad, and I just taped it down with some Scotch tape on a thick piece of cardboard. Just because if we're going to do wet on wet a lot, it's going to buckle a little bit. You want to tape it down. So to start with, we're going to do put some water on here. We're going to mix up some colors. Might want to mix up some colors first, so we're going to mix up some greens. I use cadmium yellow deep. Put it here twice, so I got 2 different kinds of greens here. I want a really light one and a medium, and maybe even a dark one. I'd like to use peacock blue because it makes a nice bright green, as you can see here. I'll put another one up here. I'll grab the peacock. And if you mix Prussian blue, which I have up here. Now I do use my paints dry. See, they were dry. I'm kind of getting them really wet and activate them. I spray them with a spray bottle to get them activated also. Just mixing up some dark green. I'll put a little umber in there. A little more blue. Nice. And you want to mix up a good amount of paint. That's another key. A lot of paint. If you're doing a big painting. If you're not, don't worry about it. I have bright rose here. I have cadmium red light. I have this beautiful color of verditer blue. And I have the ultramarine blue, which is beautiful by itself. But I put it up here and make some bright rose with it. I'll have a really nice purple. See, I'm grabbing it here. I have magenta in here. I should probably just switch them out. This is hardly any magenta left. So it makes a nice purple. See that? Depending on how much magenta, rose you stick in there, the purple gets a little pinker. And the rose itself is just a pretty color. It's very vibrant. Now I love Holbein color paints for the #2 reason why. This is my, 3 of my reasons to make really vibrant, loose, fabulous watercolor flowers is, obviously the big brush. #2, his paint. The pigments and the Holbein are really bright and intense, and so you get these really vibrant colors. And you pick some paints that are very vibrant, like the bright rose is a very vibrant color. The ultramarine blue is really, really intense. The peacock blue is great. It's like an aqua blue. And then you get your staples, which is the yellow. I mean, you can have a cobalt too, but they have these really unique colors too, like this verditer blue, which I use often in some of my spring florals. It's just a gorgeous color. It's kind of like a periwinkle blue color. All right. So let's start off. We can a couple ways to start off. You can start just going ahead and painting the flowers with the big brush, and then wetting the paper around it, or wet the paper around it and paint the flowers in. There's so many different ways. You could do a combo. So I'm going to grab this flat wash brush. This is just a craft brush that you buy at any cheap art supply store. And I'm just going to twisting it, kind of, I don't know what the heck that is. Putting some water down, twisting it. Kind of in the middle here and up here. Let's just have some fun. Another key is to have fun. Everyone gets so stressed out. Okay, I'm just going to take the corner of my brush here. Going to need a good amount of this pink color. Ooh, don't want to get in the green, but I got in the green. This palette's kind of small. I should get a bigger palette. Another thing is, if you feel like you have too much paint, just tap it on here. Let's just play with tapping color. See? It's so vibrant. Now, what I like about this brush, I like to twist it and turn it. You just get these great shapes. You can get rounded shapes if you wanted, more pointier, flat shapes. See how I'm just twisting it? I just put some color down. I just kind of tapped it on the side, pull it down like this. The key is definitely a big flat brush for some really cool loose flowers. There's so many things I can go tapping my brush here. Now a rounded one is going to have a different effect, and I can show you that. And see, I'm kind of doing the spider thing here. I kind of manipulate the paint by moving it around, turning it, twisting it. I love this. You got to get used to doing some kind of movement with your hand, like make it more expressive, right? You can go back in and use the corner. Just add some vibrant color again. See, just grab that concentrated color. You can grab a little purple. Oh, look at that. It's changed up even more, right? Grab a little ultramarine blue. Put that in the center. These are all those things you can do with this brush. I'm just really kind of tapping it. See? Tip, 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 tap, tap, tap. And in the center, kind of pulling it out. That's like the cool flower right there. It's just simple. Go back in and grab that bright rose. See? Sound effects at all, guy. Oh, look, the little red got in there. Unexpected happiness, right? Don't fret if things like that happen. All right. Let's keep going with this brush. So now we did that. We bled that into the water that was already put down. Let's do a dry situation. So let's grab some of this purple. Ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to take this brush, flip it on its side. See? What kind of blooms can I get with that? Tapping upward, little taps. Was that simple? That was pretty simple. Come on, you can do it. I'm encouraging you. If I was in a, like a gym. Come on, you can do it. See, tap, tap, tap. And just do little ones. Bup, bup, bup. Bup, bup, bup. Sound effects now. Bup, bup, bup. Look at that. Simple. Come on. Let's do another one here. Do, do, do. See? Do, do, do. I'm holding it on its side. Do, 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 do. This is my trick, guys. And also, I'm having fun. You can put some music on. I won't do that because I will get my video banned because of copyright violations. But if I could, I would do it. Look at that. Now you can go ahead and add, see, I just grabbed some concentrated paint of the ultramarine right on the edge of my brush. And I'm tapping that in. Boop, boop, boop. Da, da, da. Right in the center of some of these little blooms that are still wet. So now we got that going, right? Maybe you want to do a little one over here. He feels sad. This side. I feel sad. I have no friends. And, everything comes in threes. In my opinion. Not everyone's opinion. There. Look at that. We're building. Fun. Super easy. Come on. You could do it. So, we're making this more of a spring colors. We got some purples. We got some pinks. What should we do now? I would say yellow. Now, my yellow is a little too bright. I don't want it this bright. I'm going to kind of sneakily put it over here. And add a little, maybe I'll put it over here with a yellow orange. So I have some brilliant orange here. I just kind of threw in some of my yellow in here. I want it kind of like, you can also kind of tap it on your paper towel too. So now I'm going to do more like a daisy kind of, see? Use the brush to your advantage. I'm going out sideways. Make like a daisy type flower. And all I did was just go with the sound effects too. right? And we got this bright yellow flower in there. I'll put another one here, a little bit smaller. That's the big old flat wash brush. Loved using this guy. Oh, now that I've got the orange, I'm gonna just play with the orange in there. Let's get everything in the kitchen sink. Right? Let's have some fun. Now, if you did want to use another big floppy brush like this one, which is a number 12, and play around with this one. Maybe do some red. Red. That's the cadmium red light. It's going to have a different effect. So I would do, it's looking muddy, isn't it? We want it to look pretty, not ugly. There we go. I might add a little bright rose to this color. Here we go. See, then I'm doing this whole, it's a little different manipulation. And you know, I'm just not a fan. When I want to do some really goofy, loose, fun, happy flowers, it's just not working for me. So I will go, you mean it won't work for you. You can make these little, small little blooms over here. It's good to have a variety of sizes too, by the way. But I'm going back to my trusty big old dude. So I'm going to go bleed in some of this bright rose. See, in the corner. I felt like that red was looking sad. And I'm going to manipulate it again. See? I do this like pull out, tap in, pull out. I'm going to change that flower. I didn't like its petals. And that's why this flat wash brush is my friend. I'm going to change those petals. I'll go back in when it's dry too and play around with that. Alright, at this point, I could put another, I'll do another little bright flower. So maybe over here. Really bright, got some magenta in there. Just going like this. All these little things you can do with the magenta. They don't have to look like specific real flowers. They just have to give you that feeling of it, you know. Now you know we have got a lot of florals going on here. You go back into this one. Add some more leaves. I mean, excuse me, petals. I'm saying leaves. The brush is doing this thing called separating the bristles. And it's kind of annoying me. But you can get like these little scrape movements, which are kind of pretty also. If you were going for that kind of look. All right, let's play with the greens now. Let's get that out of there. I'm gonna add a little more yellow to this one. We've got the 3 greens. I'll burn umber on this one. Again, let's just play around with adding the greens. So I'm just gonna kind of take the brush on its side, pull it down, twist it, twist it, twist it, twist it, grab that dark one, twist it. You see that? And you got that movement. Dark. Kind of want the darker green. Gonna add some blue. Make that really dark. Doing like a little twisty kind of movement here. Putting in there some little marks in between. And I'll grab my yellows and make it more green. I'm doing like the stems coming down. Now you don't have to show them all everywhere. You see I'm just kind of tapping on its side and then pulling it down. Tapping on its side. Tap, tap. Tapping on its side. Tap, tap, tap. I'm going to add the yellow. Get this one much brighter, looser. Adding some water. See? Filling it in. These are all the little things we're going to be doing. But just see how it just uses one big brush. Now, we want to get a little more intense with our stuff. Might add some Prussian blue. I'm going to have some fun with this. Just around here, I might add some neutral tint in here. Those are coming more alive because there's a light color, I mean a dark color next to them. Light color, dark color. See? We're going to do something in a second. I'm just going to grab some more of my brush color here, a little deeper. Again, doing another pass over this light pink. I don't know how it's going to end up. I just like to play. And that's kind of like my motto. You know? Gonna add some pink to this. Really brighten it up. Same thing over here. Just really, yeah. Sometimes, you know, you can make a mess. Still doing just dabs on the side. I've got that bright. Too much red on my brush now. It's kind of seeping into the other colors. We're getting there, right? Okay. Got that bright rose. I didn't want that red in there. Sometimes it happens. So it just transformed to another kind of flower. I've got these orangey yellow flowers here, kind of like a daisy. And I might want to throw a little yellow kind of flowers up in here. Don't have any specific type of shape, just kind of tapping it in. Filling in the yellow again. Could take some of the neutral tint color, kind of fill in the center of that. So we're getting there. Okay. Now I showed this method a couple of times where you're kind of destroying your picture because it's fun. So somewhat dry or not dry, you just take a wet, clean brush and we're going to just start to push this paint around and see what happens. We'll go back in too, by the way. Let's see, we're kind of erasing the paint. Ooh, look at that. The red got in there a little too much. It's more expressive now. We're kind of erasing that green, putting it back in. We'll put some back in. If it gets too muddy, just kind of lift up your brush and go back and just grab some clean water. But this is a way to make it really expressive. So you kind of painted it. And you're like, wait a minute, why is she doing that? It's just some other technique. You don't have to do it. I'm going to go add some purple. See? I'm going to put some purple back here. You don't have to do this. You can just keep it the way it was. But these are things I like to play with. Besides just, you know, adding color. Let's add just some purple in the background here. Let's see what happens. Right? Get a little more purple. This just changes the whole look. Same thing here. And then we're going to take a, you know, the key is to also, you know, besides just using a large, big brush, see I'm going back in and adding some purple colors, bleeding. And just kind of smooshing up the paint color here. And there'll be a little more gray up here, which is fine. With a little yellow. Smoosh, smoosh, smoosh. Could add some greens. Tap that in. Play around with that. This is how I do it, guys. That's how we have fun. Kind of blend it in here. See, I'm kind of smushing the paint colors. Grabbing some yellow, red, greens. Voila. I know you're like, why did she do that? Because I like to. I like to be a little more expressive. Now I'm going to go tap in. See, I'm just going in and grabbing some concentrated color. Play around with making some leaves again. Throwing in more color. You can grab some more of this bright rose again. Get real intense. Might want to grab, at this point, Princeton 8 long round. I didn't mention that I had that. And take some yellow, burnt umber. It's a little messy, but you can kind of put some yellow in the center of some of these. If you start to lose your stuff, you can go back in and kind of fill it in, but I see a little green kind of needs a spot in here. You can also take your skinny little brush, grab the yellow and the dark green. Go in here and put some lines back in of the stems. It's a constant playing battle. Now it's a little wet, so it's going to bleed a little bit, so you might want to wait till it dries if you want really nice pointy stems. You know, there's all these little tricks. I'll go back in and I'll kind of, I don't like this bleed here. I'll kind of remove that paint. You know, if I want a really kind of like a real true petal, or I wait till it dries a little bit and I go back in and play around with it. Oops. And even like these yellow orange flowers, maybe they got a little goofy. Go back and fill those in. Fix this a little bit. Add some more yellow. These are all the fun things you can do. You want to get a little more intense. Maybe on one side, I'm adding a little orange, deeper orange brown color here. On this side, maybe a little red too. Grabbing the red. See, it's changing that yellow a little bit. Kind of fan it out. Go back to this red one. The twisty turny. That's what I do with my brush to create these blooms. Might add a little red one over here. Now I'm looking at it and I see kind of like white spots. I don't know if I like them so much. Maybe I'd fill it in. Maybe I'd just leave it. You're going to play around with it. You have to just kind of decide for yourself. Going to add some ultramarine blue. It's still damp, so it can kind of still bleed over here. Nice pretty blue. All the fun things you can do with this big old flat wash craft brush. I'll keep playing. See, it's doing that separation thing. So I'm kind of clean off my brush and come back and fix it. See? I don't want it to do that. Now I might want to play around with removing paint again. Pulling it out. These are all the things we're going to be playing around with. And if it starts to do that thing where it's separating, you just do what I told you to do. You just clean it, kind of play around with it. See, I'm removing paint and adding some paint. Seeing where I want to get a little bit darker in the center here. Just kind of pull it out a little bit. A little bit darker with some magenta and some concentrated color. Just going to pop it out, maybe even a little brown. See that? Just tapping it. I'm not doing anything too crazy. Again, it's doing the separation thing. Pulling this out. Pushing it outward from the center. Mostly on the left side. And then adding a little swipes of color. Alright, we're going to stop this for now, and we're going to come back and clean up the palette a little bit, the brush a little bit, and the paper towel. Once we cleaned up, we dried up some stuff, you can play around with removing paint and then adding some paint again. I'm taking just like a cheap little brush. You don't want to wreck some good ones. And I could kind of remove a little of this paint right here. See? And so I could put like a stamen if I wanted in there. Removing the paint. I can go back in and add some detail. Same thing with this one. Remove a little paint. Just kind of grabbing some clean water, and then tapping it back on the paper towel. See how I remove that? You can play around with doing some of that in some places. Mostly you want to go back in, this time with your Princeton 8 long round, and start putting in some details. So maybe the yellow flowers just seem so, grab your yellow orange color, and you can kind of just take the tip of the brush, maybe a little brown to that, and start to go from the center outward and give some definition to just some of the petals, not all of them. You know, same thing here. You don't have to do that. I'm going to erase some of this. See, I'll just add little swipes, a little bit deeper color again. Go back in and add some of that neutral tint color. Fill that in because it kind of washed out. You can take some of that, a little bit in here. Darken up the stamen of, excuse me, the inside of the pink flower. And it doesn't even have to be black. Just my intents purposes, I was doing this. And then I'm going in here and adding it here. Another one here. Right? You can take this brush and play around with adding some stems and some other twiggy kind of stuff, and use some burnt umber and some black. Go in here. See? Now I'm going back in here next to the loose stuff and adding in just another element. Getting this loose. Again, see? Zigzag. Kind of go with the flow with the twigs. And the same thing with the greens. You can make a lot of crazy crisscrossy stems. See? Add a little brown to that. A little blue. Skinny. These are all the things you can do to just make your design even more interesting, more exciting. I might go in here in the white areas and just kind of fill those in. Again, have all the leaves kind of going crazy. And back here you can like add some more leaves. Have fun with it, guys. There are no rules. All the little marks. You can kind of go in here a little bit darker and give definition to the flower. See, I've added that deeper color kind of going in here. Now you can see the more of the petals of the flower. Putting some Prussian blue. Same thing with this one. I can go in here, kind of go indentation of these white areas and kind of highlight the petals this way. And you fill it in and it kind of pops out, right? Even darker still. Just filling those little crevices with color. And here, add some greens. Can add little greens to those stems. Little pops of green. Little pop. And this is how I would just create. Again, you can add some little leaves here. This is where you can use the smaller brushes for the details. I'm adding little leaves, little splashes of stems, just kind of getting more expression involved. So it's a crazy kind of field of flowers. Just kind of going nuts. And also with the flowers themselves, you can go back in with this little smaller brush, skinny, and kind of just play around with doing some little lines from the center outward, giving it more definition on the petals. Having some more fun with that. See, I'll go in here. I'll go from the center outward and just kind of wash out some lines. Add little doodads in the end. This is how I would create a really loose, simple, abstract watercolor. I think the key is the bigger brush, for me anyway. Kind of playing around with the twisting of it, turning of it, all that good stuff. To manipulate it. See, I'm just going to keep playing, adding and adding and adding and adding. But you guys get my drift, right? You can go in here and remove paint again. Have fun. And go add paint back in. Don't do that too much though, because you can actually wreck your paper. Just a little bit here and there. Voila. So again, go back in, look at all the areas. You might want to concentrate on adding a little deeper tones, like just some black or deep blue or even green, kind of in certain spots you see, like here. And it will just highlight the flowers. Just kind of elevate them a little more, pop them out. Kind of have them go like that. Just in the little crevices. You don't have to do it everywhere, just some of the spots. I like to do that when I go back in. This is the details you play around with after you've like painted all your loose stuff. You know, just kind of pop them out, add a bit more fun. No, it doesn't have to be that way. You didn't have to add some darker tones. You could have made them lighter, just kept it like in the lighter shades. But I like to play around with both, so it really pulls it out. And here I just kind of like threw in some yellow. You can go back in here and play around with adding greens instead. Leaves, sprays, more purples, whatever you feel like. You know, don't be afraid to play, guys. You can take the black and kind of outline your flowers too. See, I'm just kind of wiggling that. Anyway, have fun with it, guys. Play around with it. I'd love to see what you come up with. You know, you can tag me on Instagram. See, I don't know if I like that green. See what I'm saying? You can go back in the green areas and you can kind of like play around with, you know, I didn't like that. It's also a good idea, by the way. So I tell you to use a big brush, right? I tell you to get some good paint color because that helps a lot if you can't mix it with the regular ones you have. And my third best technique, stand up. Stand up when you're painting. You'll be surprised how loose you get. I'm adding some bright yellow going down here. Just felt like it needed something down here. Yeah, just that's how I'm painting right now. I'm standing up. I'm actually I'm working on I've been working on it, thinking about it for a year of a online class. And so I will explain to you and show you what I mean. And hopefully that can happen in the future because I've got the room all ready to actually film it. I just need to get my act together. So I took the tape off, blah, blah, blah. And what I added was some light blue flowers in here just by taking white gouache, mixing it with the verditer blue and just dotting in some flowers, having a couple of shades of the deeper blue on the side, and then putting in a yellow dot. And look how that just changed that up, right? You know? So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Have fun painting, guys. Use some vibrant colors. Use that big craft wash brush. Use the skinny brush at the end. Take away paint, add paint, have fun. You know, you could take this gouache and you can add it to a bunch of paint. I can add it to some yellow and make it bright leaves here. So you don't need to have all kinds of colors of gouache. It won't be the same with everything, but it will work with like some just brightening up some of the colors on top of the leaves. I didn't like how it was just completely dark in the center here, and I just added it. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll try and answer them. Can't, kind of busy, just like everybody else. But, you know, other people answer them sometimes, which is nice. And yeah, have fun with it, guys. Don't get too stressed out. It's supposed to be fun. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.